And welcome to CBN NewsWatch for this Monday, August 2nd, 2021. Progress with the infrastructure bill as the Senate works over the weekend on amendments. We'll bring you the latest. Plus, Americans may be on the verge of choosing more than one candidate for one position when they head to the polls to vote.
Accommodates the reality that we often do have more than two choices.
See why there is a new push for what's called rank voting. And one group is determined to bring Jews and Arabs together with a unique twist.
Sport in and of itself is a language, the language of patience, the language to love the other, to compete against one another.
See the sports initiative that's looking to score unity. All this and more next.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
And we begin this half hour with the latest developments on the infrastructure package. After much delay, senators have unveiled a nearly $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure package. It happened Sunday evening. But will it pass? Dale Hurd is on the story.
The bipartisan infrastructure bill is designed to bring our infrastructure up to date for a new century. And that is a significant achievement.
The Majority Leader Chuck Schumer thinks a final vote could be held in a matter of days. The $1 trillion proposal would improve the country's roads, bridges, ports, and internet connections. Also upgrading passenger railways, what the White House calls the largest such investment since the creation of Amtrak, nearly a half-century ago. It also seeks to improve the nation's water supply and replace every lead water pipe in the country. Serious divisions still loom over the bipartisan bill. Chief among them are concerns the $1 trillion in new spending is not actually covered by new revenue and could add to the deficit. The bill came after weeks of haggling among a bipartisan bloc of lawmakers, and for Schumer and progressive Democrats, it's not enough. They're still aiming to pass a $3.5 trillion social infrastructure bill that includes massive new social programs.
That's why soon after this bill passes the Senate, Democrats will press forward with a budget resolution to allow the Senate to make further historic, vitally important investments in American jobs, American families, and efforts to reverse climate change.
However, that has to pass through budget resolution, meaning every Democrat has to support it. Moderate Democrat Joe Manchin says it's not a done deal.
Can't really guarantee anybody, and I have not guaranteed anybody on any of these pieces of legislation. We would like to do more. Yeah, you can do what you can pay for.
If budget reconciliation fails, the whole house of cards could come down under the protest of progressive Democrats. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York told CNN that progressives have more than enough votes to block the bipartisan infrastructure deal in the House if the Senate doesn't also pass the sweeping reconciliation bill. Meanwhile, another headache for Democrats, the moratorium on evictions expired over the weekend, meaning millions could be kicked out of their homes. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
And as Dale just reported, anger and frustration mounted in Congress as the nationwide eviction moratorium expired midnight Saturday. U.S. Representatives Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Cori Bush, and protesters camped outside the Capitol over the weekend. They're calling for President Biden and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to extend the moratoriums. As many are worried struggling families will be forced from their homes without any further eviction protection. Violence between Israeli Arabs and Jews flared recently in a way that rocked the country. There is hope, though, as one group seeks to bring Jews and Arabs together in a unique way for a shared future. Julie Stahl is on the story.
Ian Froman is an Israeli Jew from South Africa. Fayez Abu Sahaiban is the mayor of the Bedouin Israeli town of Rahat. What's bringing them together? Tennis.
The Israel Tennis and Education Center in Ramat Sharon has been here for 45 years, and today is the fulfillment of a dream. Israeli citizens, Jews and Arabs, have come together not just to coexist, but to work together in partnership for a better future.
This was one of the greatest days I've spent almost ever, because when we started this tennis facility, the idea was to reach as many children as we could.
Froman is a former Davis Cup player and co-founder of the Israel Tennis and Education Centers, or ITEC. Recently, ITEC hosted an Arab-Jewish leadership training day as the kickoff event for ITEC's new Abraham Project. The rollout of the project is even more timely following the recent riots in mixed Arab-Jewish cities like Lod that troubled the nation.
To see that being a facility for children, it now has really encompassed both Jewish kids, Arab kids, and of course all other kids. And that was the motivation.
It's a very exciting event for me as the head of municipality. It's the first time I am visiting the Israel Tennis Center. I was greeted by many people who feel very warmly toward the residents of our city.
The mayor and Rahat City Council members were invited for a day of sharing food and fun with the aim of finding a way to help the young people in Rahat.
My vision in Rahat is to have a sports city. We have 75,000 residents. There are many children. The education system has 25,000 children. Many schools, many preschools. But I want to launch them into sports because sports gives them room to breathe, gives them everything, and makes them smile in the end.
And why tennis? Abu Suhaiban and his team hit the courts to find out more.
Sport in and of itself is a language, the language of patience, the language to love the other, to compete against one another, but to respect the other.
I see a great opportunity here to build bridges, between the cultures, and I feel that tennis is the best game, to build this bridge.
Ronen Morali runs the coaching program at ITEC.
Tennis educates you to respect one another, to complement one each other. There's a lot of respect in working together, and I feel that this is what the Israeli society is lacking.
Alam Ibrahimi is coordinator of ITEC's Abraham program with Israel's Arab communities.
When players play one against the other, each one bats the ball to the other side. The same player that receives the ball needs to return the ball to defend what he has. And as such, it teaches the child how to be responsible, independent, know how to protect his personal interests for the greater good.
Ibrahimi said when children in Rahat finish school in the afternoon, there aren't any activities for them.
So the tennis center came and offered a hand and sees that they are a partner in influencing the population and producing children that are good for society.
Born and raised in Rahat, Abu Suhaiban was first a teacher and then a principal. He says sports can be a bridge builder between Arabs and Jews, especially after the Arab-Jewish violence that affected both sides.
They start by shaking hands and finish by shaking hands. That's what's good about this sport. The added value, especially in this period, at this time that we all went through as citizens of Israel, is to join hands together. There is no other place for us to live. We have to live together. To speak the language of sport. It's a language of everyone, not a language of another race or religion.
The day wrapped up with a heart-to-heart roundtable discussion. Froman says they plan to build a tennis center in Rahat.
There's a partnership here that is developed between the city of Rahat and the tennis centers. And so it really is the beginning of what I think is going to be a tremendous era of getting together, learning to live together, using tennis as the medium in which to do so.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, ITEC, Ramat HaSharon, Israel.
Coming up, it's a push to allow you to cast your vote for several candidates on one ballot. Find out about ranked cast voting and its downside. Coming up next.
Are you suffering from feeling tired or worn out during the day? Can you not turn off your brain at night? You are not alone. Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Bruce, the sleep doctor, and I've partnered with the Christian Broadcasting Network, and we're going to bring you some unbelievable information that you can use tonight to get a better night's rest.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free copy of Protect Your Sleep today.
Nutrition, exercise, essential oils, weight loss, and more. It's Healthy Living with Lori Johnson.
Talk about what's in this.
Join CBN health reporter Lori Johnson to get the latest information from today's top health experts.
This is fantastic.
Find out what you need to know to live a healthier life. Watch Healthy Living Tuesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans! Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
Millsburg Falls man coming.
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes too, and so much more. Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon. It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Welcome back. Here's some of the other headlines we are following in the CBN newsroom at this hour. The Delta variant continues to spread rapidly, including in Australia. The city of Brisbane extended a lockdown due to increased numbers of COVID-19 infections. The state deputy there hopes it will be sufficient for contact tracers to get into home quarantine and stop the spread. Only 19% of Australian adults' population is fully vaccinated. Anne Graham Lott's son, Jonathan Lotz, is out of the hospital after a battle with COVID-19. His mother made the announcement through social media on Sunday. She says God has heard the prayers for her son and asked for continued prayer for a swift recovery and full restoration. And Simone Biles is set to compete on the balance beam this week in the Tokyo Olympics. Biles previously pulled out of 3 individual finals last week, citing mental health reasons. It is the American way to cast one vote for one candidate during an election, but there is a new push for ranked choice voting, which allows you to rank several candidates by your choice on the ballot, resulting in what's called an instant runoff. But there may be a downside. Jennifer Wishon explains.
Ranked choice voting lets voters rank candidates, giving them control over their second, third, fourth, even fifth choices for office. But it's not without controversy.
The attending election official admits him to the machine.
The technology Americans use to cast their ballots has changed over the years.
I pull the lever back to the left, and then your vote is cast.
Please allow me to introduce you to the ES&S DS200 and the Dominion ImageCast.
What hasn't changed is most Americans still cast just one vote for one candidate. But a growing number of localities are opting to let voters rank every candidate running in an election.
And ranked choice voting embraces allowing more than 2 choices, accommodates the reality that we often do have more than 2 choices, whether it's a primary election or a city, nonpartisan city election, or our general elections.
Ranked choice voting lets voters rank all the candidates running. Once the votes are tallied, if no candidate wins a majority, the candidate with the least votes drops off the list. Voters who ranked that last place candidate as their first choice then have their second pick moved up to count as their first in what's called an instant runoff. That process keeps going for multiple rounds until finally one candidate gets a majority.
If that sounds confusing, it is.
Critics like Hans von Spekowski, senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, argue the method disenfranchises some voters because of what's called ballot exhaustion, where some votes are rejected. Here's how it works. If it takes several rounds to get a winner and a voter hasn't ranked every candidate running, then their ballot gets thrown out. The 9th round of tabulation in the recent New York City mayoral primary left more than 117,000 ballots discarded, about 12% of the vote. And Spakovsky points to a number of other examples, like the first time the state of Maine used ranked choice voting for a 2018 congressional race.
They had to do several rounds, and by the time they were over, the ballots of over 14,000 people had been thrown out because they hadn't ranked all 4 people who were running for Congress.
On election night of the Democratic primary in the New York City mayoral race, candidates found themselves explaining to supporters why there wasn't a winner and wouldn't be for weeks.
50% of the ranked choice vote has not yet been counted.
We know there's going to be 2s and 3s and 4s. We know that.
And despite the painfully long 2-week vote count, a poll by CBS New York finds 77% want to use it again. 83% ranked more than one candidate. 95% found the ballot simple to complete. And its popularity is slowly growing across the country. According to Fair Vote, the method is being used on some level in 29 states.
Just this year alone, we've seen a doubling of cities that have decided to use it. We are now have ranked choice voting for 2 states for presidential elections.
But many Republicans remain skeptical. Ranked choice voting is a corrupt scam, tweeted Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy called it woke.
On one hand, we have voter ID that doesn't disenfranchise anyone. And on the other hand, we have ranked choice voting, which definitely disenfranchises voters. And yet no one's referring to it as Jim Crow 2.0.
And critics say candidates aren't winning a majority if tens of thousands of ballots are routinely not counted after multiple rounds of tabulations. Jason McDaniel, associate professor of political science at San Francisco State University, examined 2,500 precincts over 5 elections and found turnout among both African American and white voters dropped when the city adopted ranked choice voting, and ballot errors increased. Still, Ritchie predicts within a decade, ranked choice voting will become the norm.
I think that as we adapt, I think there'll be sort of a collective sigh of relaxation and relief, or something like, oh, it's actually pretty easy, right? Which I think is true.
It's not just voters. This method makes candidates change their strategies too. If a candidate isn't polling well, he or she may campaign to be a voter's second choice. Advocates say it also reduces negative campaigning because candidates are vying for a good rank, although observers in the New York City primary say that wasn't the case. Either way, if it hasn't already, ranked choice voting could soon come to your local precinct. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
Still ahead, new limited edition sneakers turning heads and causing a stir in the Christian community. Stay tuned for more on this.
Want to be a part of a community that inspires your spiritual growth while winning prizes? The all-new MyCBN App. Connect with the community for prayer and encouragement. Track and set spiritual goals. Enjoy conversation starters with friends and family. And collect points to win prizes. The all-new MyCBN App. A great place to belong. Download the app at cbn.com/mobile. Grow, connect, have fun. The all-new MyCBN App.
On the home front.
Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. CBN honors the men and women in our military with an initiative called Helping the Home Front. It partners with churches across the country to meet the needs of their military families, from repairing homes to wiping out medical bills for wounded veterans.
Wednesday at 3 on the CBN News Channel.
Too often, we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like.
It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
The athletic shoe company Converse is selling a limited edition line of sneakers with a pentagram. The pentagram is often used as a symbol for the devil and witchcraft. Now, this comes just a few months after rapper Lil Nas X stirred up controversy with his release of a limited line of Satan shoes. Those came with a drop of human blood in the soles and a bronze pentagram charm. FaithWire.com's Trey Goins-Phillips is following the Converse move, and he joins us now. So, Trey, this Converse line is in partnership with a famous fashion designer. What can you tell us about him and it?
So first, I have to say, what odd times we're in, right? This is something we're talking about. But Rick Owens is the designer's name. He's been described as a goth fashion designer, kind of a punk rock style. So he has announced this partnership, or Converse has announced this partnership with his brand, Dark Shadow. And they'll be releasing toward the end of this month, mid to late August, a line of several shoes. And some of them will feature a pentagram in place of the regular star logo that usually comes above the word Converse on the tongue of the shoe.
So what is he, the designer, saying about his decision to include this symbol?
So he doesn't say specifically that it's about Satan or Satanism or anything like that, but he does say that he likes the pentagram because it represents the occult. Now, we know that the occult has been tied to Satanism. It's also been tied to Wiccan practices and witchcraft and all of that, but it's certainly been associated in our Western culture with Satanism, with Satan. We know that the Satanic Church, for example, they use the pentagram in their logo. So he's definitely comfortable with saying that he likes it because it's geometric and associated with the occult.
What's been the consumer reaction? Has there been any pushback?
So there's been a little bit on social media. I think so far this is something that people are still kind of catching on to. There's been some attention drawn to it. And then there's also been a reaction. You mentioned it from at the beginning, talking about Lil Nas X's shoe. So there's been some sort of question, why are we all of a sudden being culturally more interested and kind of maybe a little bit obsessed with the pentagram, with the occult? So it certainly is raising some eyebrows, particularly among Christians who are already kind of attuned to this kind of social drift, this moral drift that we're seeing in society.
Now, I have to ask, what's Converse saying? I mean, they're in partnership to create this, and it coming out in just a matter of weeks. What's this company saying?
So Converse is saying that they're not making any sort of religious statement at all, that the pentagram is not necessarily associated with Satanism, that it is associated with the occult, but it is not necessarily associated with the devil. And again, they've reiterated in a couple statements that even though they've done this partnership, it's not at all a religious statement from the company.
Now, will all of his shoes in this specific line have the pentagram or just some?
Not all of them. There'll only be, I think, 2 or 3, maybe. I'm not certain how many are in this lineup. That's yet to be unveiled. But I do know, and they have said that not all of them will include the pentagram. Only some of the ones in his limited line.
All right, Trey Goins-Phillips with FaithWire.com. Thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
I want to remind you at home that you can catch FaithWire on the CBN News Channel at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time this evening. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
To have sex before you marry is a bad idea.
Don't tell me there's no such thing as gun violence.
That just depends on your definition of when life begins.
Watch Dan and Dale tackle trending topics that test your faith on the next Faith Wire. Monday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel. The Global Lane takes you around the world
providing facts over fiction.
What might rising trade and geopolitical tensions mean for you on the home front?
With over 45 years of experience, award-winning journalist Gary Lane brings you the truth from a global angle.
What about the issue of immigration?
World news analysis you won't see anywhere else.
And it's all right here on the Global Lane.
Thursday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel. On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
Administering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place, all day, every day. The CBN News Channel. Download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com. CBN News.
A bear cub rescued after suffering burns in a California wildfire is being nursed back to health. Care workers at the Lake Tahoe Wildlife Care Center named him Tamarack after the fire that burned through the Sierra south of the lake. Veterinarians are working to heal his burns, and the cub will likely stay at the Wildlife Center through the winter months and is expected to be released sometime in the spring. Time now for your Monday motivation. I leave you with this thought as we jumpstart yet another week. There is no failure in God, and with Him, there's no failure in you. What may look like a mistake to you is a needed piece of His masterpiece and His master plan. With that word, be sure to make this a marvelous Monday and have a wonderful rest of the week on purpose and in purpose. That is a wrap for this edition of CBN News Watch. Thank you so much for watching. You can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel or online at cbnnews.com. You can find them there at any time. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today or any day. You can email us at that address right there at the bottom of your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, we're always available. You can reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We would love to hear from you. Make it a marvelous Monday. We look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.